Wisconsin Eye's 2014 election coverage is brought to you by the Wisconsin Hospital Association. For over 90 years, a valued voice for Wisconsin hospitals, supporting high-quality, high-value care in communities like yours.
Wisconsin Eye covering the 2014 elections. We're on the campus of North Central Tech College in Wausau. We're talking to Dave Heaton of Wausau. He's a Republican running in the 85th Assembly District. Mr. Heaton, welcome to Wisconsin Eye.
Well, thank you, Steve.
A programming note, Wisconsin Eye appreciates the support of the Wisconsin Hospital Association, which represents more than 139 hospitals and health systems, for making these candidate interviews possible. Mr. Heaton, I'm going to ask you about your background, because this is your first time running for state office, and I want to get into it this way. On your website, your campaign website, you say, "My experience as a prosecutor deepened my compassion for others." That's such an intriguing statement. Can you explain it in the context of a short version of your bio, please?
Sure. Steve, I got into this race because I believe that the people of the 85th District deserve a representative who's truly going to work to find bipartisan solutions to get our economy going again, to get people back to work in our district. I come from a family of 15 kids, okay? So I grew up early on learning the reasons why we need to work together. You know, we won't always agree with everyone, but we try to find common ground. We try to treat people with respect, and that's how we get things done. So my dad, you know, he served in World War II. He came home from World War II, started a family. He worked all sorts of jobs to provide for all us kids. And he taxi driver, milkman, whatever he could do to make ends meet. And he did this while going to school at night to get his degree. He had 5 kids at his graduation when he finally went up there and got that diploma. And you know, he showed that he really did. He went on to have a great career as a systems analyst, but he really lived the dream. He's not with us anymore. But he showed us how you can pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, try to serve others, and that's how you're going to get things done. So in my family, we have all sorts of differences of opinions. You know, we're not all Republicans. And I seek the advice of my siblings and family members who are from the other political spectrum. Okay. This is what informs me as a person. From my whole career, I joined the Air National Guard right out of high school because I also wanted to serve my country. And in that, you work with all sorts of people from all over the country, all different walks of life. You learn to work as a team together. I put myself through college, and then I put myself through law school, and I became a prosecutor. And as a prosecutor, I got to defend the rights of victims of crime. But more importantly, what kept me going in the morning for that job was I got to stand up there and speak for people who do not speak for themselves, people that can't speak for themselves. I helped people through some really dark moments, and they were people from very challenging backgrounds. And so in that job, you know, I worked with all sorts of people, criminal defense attorneys, judges, police officers. Many of them were from the opposite political spectrum, but we still were able to get things done. And as a businessman, now I work in the business sector, and I still work to find solutions that, even though we may not agree on everything, we try to find that common ground, and that's how we resolve problems. That's how we get things done. That's what I will do if I'm honored enough to go to Madison and represent the 85th Assembly District.
Thank you. Let's talk about some of the issues that you'd be involved in if you're elected to the Assembly. When the Assembly debates the next budget, school aids, what are going to be your priorities?
Yeah. Well, you know, obviously, to have a strong economy, we need to have a great, strong education system, a robust, diverse education system. In the last legislation session, last budget, we were able to add $300 million to fund education. I want to continue to make that a priority. I want to continue to help that K-12 program to be the single highest line item in the budget, in the biannual budget. I believe that we need a well-trained, well-educated workforce to keep our economy growing. And that's why I think we need to focus on working between businesses and the schools to keep the curricula aligned with the needs of the local businesses. And actually, right here at North Central Tech, they're doing a great job of trying to do that. And I hope to help be an enabler to keep that momentum going, to keep a good, strong education system moving forward. I also think that it's important to have the parents have a say in it. Parents need to have the resources and the tools to decide how best to educate their children, and I think that's an important part of a robust school system.
So, having said that, just to be clear, then you support the voucher and choice programs?
I support having as many options on the table for the decision makers to choose from. The parents are the ultimate customer, right? They should have the ability to have a seat at the table along with the teachers and the administrators. That's how you're going to continue to have great education in Wisconsin.
And when the governor called for Wisconsin to withdraw from the Common Core standards, your position, sir?
Well, I think, Common Core is an issue that we've been talking about over the last several months, and I think Wisconsin has the ability to decide its own destiny. I think we are perfectly capable of setting standards. I am absolutely for high standards in Wisconsin schools. I think that there is some hesitation because the Common Core comes from people way out of state, far removed bureaucrats who really don't have accountability here in Wisconsin. Why can't Wisconsin establish its own standards? I think we need to look at it again. We need to bring all the stakeholders to the table to make these important decisions. I've found in my career that when you do bring the stakeholders to the table, people who disagree with each other, you're going to come out, if you have an honest debate about it, you're going to come out with the best solution.
Transportation funding. There are projections that we may be $600 million, $700 million in the next 2-year budget cycle out of balance or a potential deficit. How would you fill that, sir, or fix it?
Well, obviously transportation is an absolute essential key to a growing economy. I look forward to our economy to continue to grow and expand, but we need good roads and we need infrastructure to help take on that new business, okay? So we need to address the issue of transportation funding. There's a number of ways that have traditionally gone into the funding transportation. There's the gas tax, and it's not just raising the gas tax isn't going to fix the whole problem. We need to learn to look for a long-term solution. The gas tax, we have much more efficient cars nowadays. So when you're running on 30 miles to the gallon, you're not going to buy as much gas as when you did when you were running on 15 miles to the gallon. We've talked about raising registration fees. It's already $75. That's a lot of money for a hardworking person to pay out. And raising that also is dependent on the fluctuations of the economy. So there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle. What we need to do is come up with a long-term solution that takes all of the possible ways to fund into consideration. And I really think we need to look at it in more detail before we say this is the way we're going to do it. We got to again sit down and talk about it. And that's how we're going to get a good way to manage any potential deficit. Now, hopefully, if we keep doing what we've been doing the last 4 years, our economy is going to continue to grow. And as that economy grows, we are going to have more revenue coming, and that's going to help offset any projected or potential deficits that we may see.
Healthcare funding. 1 in 5 Wisconsin residents get their health care through our Medicaid program. The American Hospital Association says our MA reimbursement rates are second lowest in the nation. Should those rates be increased?
Obviously, caring for the health needs of the most vulnerable people in our society is a responsibility that we all share. Okay, we need to provide for care for those that can't afford it. We also have hospitals and health care givers who deserve to be treated fairly as well. Okay, we have done some good things in this state. Now, if you earn up to 100% of the poverty level in this state, you're covered. It was not like that before. Everyone wasn't covered at that level. And so we've made some good steps in the right direction. But this is a very complex issue. When hospitals, give this treatment or doctors give this treatment, if they aren't reimbursed at a good rate, they're going to pass that on to other people who can pay. Okay? So we need to look at ways to address the issue that is always fiscally responsible. We have to have a way to pay for it. I think we need to look at this issue in more detail, and I look forward to working with the governor and the legislators to try and find a solution to that issue as well.
The bill to legalize medical marijuana will be reintroduced next session. And now we have the states of Washington and Colorado legalizing recreational marijuana. Your position on both issues?
Well, while I'm opposed to legalizing recreational use of marijuana, I think we need to take a good hard look at the medicinal value of that we can get from it. We need to look at see what the doctors say about it, But there's ways we can look at it from, we don't necessarily have to legalize prescribing a cigarette. Let's look at, is there ways that we can prescribe the ingredients that give these health benefits in a way that won't contribute to people who might want to abuse that? So I'm definitely for looking into ways to incorporate medicinal cannabis into and make it legal. But again, we need to look at the facts, and we have a wonderful opportunity here. As you mentioned, there's 2 states that are already plunging in here. And as a businessman, we like to look at focus groups. We like to have a limited trial before we throw the whole house at everything. And here we have an opportunity to see what experience we're going to see in Colorado and Washington, and it's not going to cost us money to engage in that experiment. I think as responsible legislators, we need to let it play out a little bit. Let's see how it develops. Let's see what the pitfalls are before we jump in.
And it's an old issue, but it's always debated. First offense drunken driving. Should it be a crime, sir?
Well, certainly driving drunk is a very serious issue, and it should not be tolerated. This is an issue that affects everyone on the roads. And, but right now it's a civil offense. And the talk is, should we make the first offense a crime? Keep in mind, while that is good to try and find ways to decrease drunk driving, we need to look at other ways to decrease, drunk driving. It doesn't all fall in the courtrooms. But when we are talking about the courtrooms, when you have new crimes, if we are to make this a crime, that means we're going to have more people who have a right to a jury. And that means we're going to need more prosecutors, possibly even more court space, judges, juries. It's going to cost money. We need to look at all the factors that go into it before we make a decision. And again, like anything else, to be responsible about it, yes, I'm all for making our roads more safe, and certainly drunk driving should not be tolerated, but let's look at all the facts before we make a decision. I want to make sure that we can pay for whatever solution we do come up with.
Recently, the governor said if he's reelected, he'll push to drug test those that are receiving food stamp benefits and unemployment assistance. Your response?
As I've walked the district, I've knocked on thousands of doors, and I've talked to people. And one of the things that I always bring up at the doors is that we need to streamline our regulatory processes. We need to streamline how much we're spending on things. We need to look to find efficiencies. As a businessman, every day I'm looking to find ways to do things more efficiently. We can't always throw more money at a problem. For this particular situation, I think that people really are not happy when they look around and see some people abusing the system. Okay, we need to find ways. Yes, we need to help those who truly do need assistance, but we also need to find ways to become more to hold people more accountable for it. There is fraud that goes on in the unemployment insurance. And there is fraud. People are trafficking in food stamps. These are things that we cannot tolerate. And while we need to look at all the options, we need to look at what is going to be most effective. We should look at other states to see, where they have done some of these projects. Have they actually improved the situation? Again, if you make decisions based on fact and on evidence and on common sense, you're going to get good decisions.
And then finally, do you want to highlight any differences between you and your opponent in the November 4 election?
Well, suffice it to say, I wouldn't be running for this office if I felt the people of the 85th District were being represented as best as they could. That said, I like to talk about what I think I can bring to the table. I have a background that speaks to bipartisanship. My whole life, even from being born in a big family with different opinions, and I have been trained to learn to look at the other side of the argument. And when I walk the doors, people are talking about we need to get past this we need to get past this partisanship. We've had a divisive period in our state, and we need to get past it. I'm the type of guy, in my experience as a prosecutor, you've got to look at the other side of the story. You've got to learn how to talk to people. I interviewed thousands of people, and they were from the street criminals all the way up to senior executives. I have the ability to communicate with others, to create trust so we can get a conversation moving. I did that also, as a businessman. Every day, I don't get to do business with just the guy who agrees with me on every political issue. I deal with the person in front of me. Again, you find common ground. Here, our common ground is we got to get this economy moving, and I'm excited about helping to do that. Everyone wants to get the economy moving. Our problems in this state are all of our problems. And I'm the type of guy who has proven he's able to work with others to find solutions, whether it be in the courtroom doing thousands of plea agreements, whether it be in the business world where you negotiate resolutions to legal disputes before you hire the lawyers. And that is what my whole background speaks to. And I think my depth of experience really sets me apart. It makes me a very uniquely qualified candidate, and so that's why I think the people of the 85th District should vote for me.
Thank you. Dave Heaton of Wausau is a Republican running in the 85th Assembly District. Dave, thanks for talking to Wisconsin Eye.
Well, thank you, Steve. And thank you to your viewers.
Oh, thank you.